What's going on, you loyal listeners? Thank you for tuning in to the L Squared podcast. I'm your host here, Luke Larson, and joining me today, as per the unusual, I know that we've been hearing you guys' requests. We've been getting your mail. I want you to know that our search may be over. Old Legs Jordan Isis is not here. I have a new special guest. He may be replacing him. We're not sure. We'll see how he does on this one. It's my good friend, Eazy C Cole Acheson himself. What's going on, Cole?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me. Let's not jump to any conclusions here.
Our people are talking. We've only made verbal agreements. There's nothing in writing yet. But we're going to try and get you on here.
More regularly, or just like we're going to try like today?
Well, first we'll try today, but in the future, any way I can spend less time with Jordan is better for me, I think.
It's my life motto.
Yeah,
actually.
Exactly. I just see him too much. You guys would not believe the list of bills that he racks up when he comes on here. I mean, with the women, with the booze, with the drugs, and then I'm just trying to wake him up all the time. It is a nightmare. So hopefully you'll give me less trouble.
Yeah, I don't do that stuff. You'll find me in church on the weekends. I'm getting myself up. All right.
Yeah, I don't need an alarm. All right,
it's not about that
right
life.
Way. I am a good boy. Every weekend, I'm in church, just praising His name, the good Lord. JC and I. We're tight.
Praying for Jordan,
Yeah, praying. Please, Lord, will you please help him? He knows not what he does. Well, the reason I wanted to bring you on here is because you have, in the last couple of years, I think it's safe to say you've kind of gotten more into movie culture. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, thanks to you. You kind of led me in that way. Never thought about it as much, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard too, because when you're starting to get into movies, it's easy to be you want to kind of create your own views and what you think about movies, but it gets hard because you're just constantly listening to other people, and then you feel like you haven't seen enough movies to really have a good opinion, so you just kind of follow other people's opinions, and then when they're like, "Oh, that movie sucks," you're like, "Well, they've seen more movies than me," so which more and more I really hate that mentality, because it's all film is subjective, that I say all the time. So I hate when people just have the same opinion, and the groupthink shit really bugs me. But the more I just really love movies, and honestly, I used to be a person who would watch just hours of content on YouTube just of movie reviews and people talking about movies and movie news. At one point it was 14 hours a week. I counted it out.
Putting in the man hours.
Yeah, every week.
I don't think I've gotten to that level yet.
Yeah. And it was and the more I did, because I'm just the type of person, I guess there's different ways of fandom, but it's when I get into something, I'm all into it. I just do all the research. And it's just I just kind of obsess over it for a long period of time and then go. And with that, it was just I was slowly, we've talked about it before on the pod with Jordan and I working at Squirrel Feed together and just talking. That's kind of when we both started and kind of went off from there. But it's just, the more I watched that stuff and the more I got into it, the more I felt like I didn't have my own voice. I just kept hearing people saying the same things. A new movie comes out, a big movie that I've heard them talk about for the past 3 years. They're like, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And then we're all like, oh, this movie's going to do everything. It's going to cure cancer, They just have these wild expectations for it. And then it finally comes out, and they're like, yeah, it was good. I like this, I like this, I like this. I didn't like that. And then it's just done. And then, you hear someone else talk about it, and they say, yeah, I like this and this and this and not this. It's just the same thing over and over. And then you have the contrarians who are like, I didn't like it because everyone else liked it. And I'm just I'm not hearing anyone really it felt like this was all their job, which it was, and then it just kind of made me stop getting into all that and then kind of get more into the pure just loving of movies. My ideal weekend is sitting around just watching movies. and never having contact with any human ever. It feels like
humans
sometimes.
are scary. So.
They are, and it takes a lot of work. But yeah, so I guess if you're listening to this, I just want to make sure that people are just like, look, if you love a movie, love a movie. If you don't like a movie, don't like a movie. But it's just like, just be true to yourself. And I know it takes a while to find that. But I would just say keep watching movies, and giving them chances. But one of the genres of movies that you and I have always enjoyed, which is a popular genre, is mobster movies, mafia movies. Do you remember one of the first big times we had watching a movie together?
Probably, I'd say The Godfather when we were snowed in for a weekend. Cabin fever.
Oh my god, that was one of the most epic things that's ever happened.
Didn't we watch it on VHS?
Yeah, we watched the first 2 Godfathers on VHS. Cole came over to my house one night, and we were going to watch The Godfather, and it was when I lived on the lake, and there was like this little like shed that I would have for like a hangout area, and it wasn't insulated. We had a little heater in there.
It's a real battle.
It was a battle, and just like a VCR, and my PS2 I think was out there, so we had the VCR, and I had The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2 on VHS, which each one had 2 VHS tapes. And yeah, we sat down, we watched the first one that night, I think, and then we went to bed. And then the next day, was it a snow day the next day?
Well, yeah, I think we went over there on, I think we went on like a Friday night or something. And then like that following Monday was like 2 hours late
went
start.
a Saturday night.
It was either Friday or Saturday night, because I remember we had another friend, Adam Anderson, there, and his mom called
Shout
him.
out.
Shout out to Adam Anderson if you're listening. But yeah, he was there, and we were going to watch The Godfather that night, and then his mom called him and was like, hey, we were in high school, right? So it's not it's not like our moms were calling us last weekend, like, you got to get home, right? Are you at home? But yeah, his parents called him like, hey, the weather's getting it pretty bad, I better head back. And he's like, all right, cool, I'll do that.
And we were like,
and then my mom did the same thing to me, like, Mom, come on, whatever. And little did we know that I was there the rest of the weekend.
Yeah. It was a blizzard, and we couldn't leave. We were literally snowed in.
Especially with my 90 Honda.
Yeah.
Wasn't getting out of there.
No, yeah. And especially on the road that I lived on, too. It was not good. So we were like, what else do we do? Well, let's watch the second Godfather then, too. And I was like, I haven't seen the third. I don't want to see the third. I still haven't. I don't know if I'll ever see it. Just because I don't know. I know it's not as good. And it's like,
Even though we have absolutely nothing else to do.
Right.
I am not watching.
I'm not watching this. Yeah, literally, what we're going to do is sit here and freeze our asses off in the snow. I'm not doing it. Sorry. Yeah, still haven't seen it. But then, obviously, from there, kind of obviously like Quentin Tarantino. Most of his movies are mafia movies. Martin Scorsese, obviously. And you can kind of go down the list with those. And since I just have this open right now, this is a book. I don't know if you can hear that.
I can confirm that it is a book. All right.
It was a book I picked up at Barnes & Noble. Shout out to Barnes & Noble.
Known for their movies.
Yeah,
yes.
known for their movies, yeah. It was a book just called My Top 10, and it's a bunch of random blank top 10 lists with categories that you fill in yourself. One of them was my top 10 gangster movies. And so I'm just going to read these to you here, starting with, and granted, there's a couple big gangster movies that I haven't seen, like, I haven't actually seen Casino, which I should see. What other ones haven't I seen? I haven't seen the original Scarface from, like, the 30s, but I don't really...
I guess I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know if I need to see that.
Yeah.
There's probably a couple other ones. If they're not on here, I may not have seen them yet. But as far as me, and this is just like pure gangster movies, number 10 would be True Romance. Christian Slater stars. Written by Tarantino, not directed by him. Came out in 1994. It's a pretty fun little movie. Christopher Walken is fantastic, and he's just got a small part. He's like a villain. And, yeah, it's just a fun little movie. This guy, it just screams Tarantino writing. This guy's like a comic book shop worker. And he meets this prostitute or something, and then they're gonna go whatever. Oh, Gary Oldman is fucking amazing in it. He acts like a black dude, like he thinks he's black.
Classic Gary.
Yeah, classic Gary. And it is amazing. But, like, she gets, like, involved, like, he's her pimp or whatever, and then there's, like, this whole gang
Gary's
thing.
the pimp?
Right.
Oh, God.
Gary's the pimp who thinks he's black, and it's pretty amazing, actually. And it's got this weird score by Hans Zimmer, who did the Dark Knight. Yeah, the Dark Knight trilogy.
He's the only composer I know.
And in this one, it's a weird one. It's almost like it takes place in, like, you know, New York or whatever. But it's like almost like a tropical sound to it, which is weird. It's like a weird fit, but it's kind of interesting. It's a fun little movie. Number 9, Carlito's Way. Have you seen this?
I've not heard of it.
I've seen it. Yeah, I believe Brian De Palma directed it. He also directed Scarface. And The Untouchables, which isn't on this list. Starring Al Pacino. And it's this guy, Carlito, who was a gangster. And he gets out of prison or whatever, and he used to run this nightclub, so he starts running it again. And he kind of wants to get clean, basically, that old thing, you know. He's like, no, that's in my past, I want to do it right this time, and obviously some things from his past.
I bet it goes smoothly.
Yeah, yep, like... it's just that fun, happy movie about just a normal worker at a nightclub. Obviously things from his past come up, and Sean Penn's in it, he's really good. And John Leguizamo. It's a pretty good movie. It's like everybody throws it out there as one of the best, and it's on my list, you know. But like, yeah, I don't know if I would call it a really good gangster movie, but it's not like an essential one to me. But I think it's worth checking out for sure. It's not bad.
Put it on my list of movies to watch.
Al Pacino has a beard in it. I don't know if that helps you or not. A light beard, not like a big one.
I was going to say, I don't know if I've ever seen him with a beard. I don't know.
Yeah, Serpico comes to mind. But that's about it. But yeah, a little beard, not a big one. Number 8, Miller's Crossing, which you and I saw just not too long ago. Was it?
Creds to me.
Yeah, it was. Was that a year and a half ago, probably?
I think so, yeah. I remember that my college English professor, he's like, Miller's Crossing, better than Godfather. I'm like, whoa, that is a bold statement. So I had to call up my boy Luke, the movie connoisseur, and we watch it. Solid, not better than Godfather. Yeah. So, Mr. Pullen, you're wrong if you're listening. Mr. Pullen,
you fucking idiot.
But I'm not going to go that far, right? But it is a solid movie.
It was. You know,
I'd say it was a fun gangster movie.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah, it was good. Well made, the Coen brothers.
Yeah.
It was early Coen brothers. So it's a little bit raw. But yeah, it's like, why would you even say that it's better than The Godfather? It's such a weird...
Hot take.
Yeah, hot take for sure. Just like the greatest movie of all time. Well, it's better than that. So.
I suppose, like you were saying earlier, like the personal preferences. Like, if you do like it better, like, I suppose they're like, oh, Godfather, best ever. And he's just probably one of those guys like, you know what? Like, no, like, I'm not going to do that. Like, Miller's Crossing is better. Yeah. More power to you.
Yeah, I mean, he could have heard the hype. And the thing about Miller's Crossing that stood out to me is, like, there's so much backstabbing and double crossing in it. It was fun to see. There was so much double crossing. It was like you're double crossing and double cross and then double cross them, and it's just like back and forth, and back.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since we watched it before. Right. So I mean, but I just remember like what was that scene where what's the name of the guy that he brings out to the Miller's Crossing? I can't remember his name, but he's supposed to. Because isn't it his wife's brother or something?
Yeah.
He has some special connection with him.
The actor is John Turturro.
Yeah.
But I don't remember the character's name.
Yeah, I don't remember his name. But I know he is.
Was it Worm?
It could have been.
It's like Worm or some shit like that.
Yeah, he was supposed to... I don't want to give any...
the
main
character was... Yeah, that scene... stands out for sure. That's the first thing I think.
And then he doesn't do what he was supposed to do, and it comes back to bite him. So like the backstab me, it's like, dude, I saved your life. Come on. And he's like, and then you're like, he does have so much leverage right there. Yeah,
but you never would have thought that he would.
Yeah, it's weird going from like I'm your savior to like, well, now I have a lot of like, I can like blackmail you, like do stuff. Yeah. It's like, well, man, I should have just killed you in the first place.
Yeah, that was. It was. And it's a period piece, too. It was like in the 40s?
Yeah.
Maybe earlier than that.
I'd say that was about right.
Yeah. There was a lot of, like... I definitely saw early Coen, and then, like... For me, like... And my top 5 movies of all time is No Country for Old Men, which is Coen Brothers movie.
Yes.
And so, like, some of the things they did in this movie, I saw them do better in other movies, like No Country for Old Men. So it's, like, hard to, like, watch it in that light, too, you know? Yeah. But you give them credit because it was one of their first ones.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah, like, I sent this to Jurdo a while ago, but I was like, I don't know where the Coen brothers get all these old hotels to film in, because like every single movie they have this weird old hotel that's just like pretty much every movie I've noticed, and I'm like, they're just really cool, but I'm just like, I don't know where you keep finding these, but there was a scene in that where I think it was right after that interaction with John Turturro when the main character, I forget his name. He's the main guy in The Usual Suspects, but when John Turturro leaves and then he jumps out his window. Remember that he jumps out the window and then he comes back into the hallway to try and stop him. Oh, and then he like trips him or whatever. And that reminded me a lot of No Country for Old Men, when Josh Brolin runs and then goes back to the hotel and around.
That is a great scene.
Yeah, so it's like when you've seen that, you're like, this doesn't really quite compare. There's that great moment when the old dude in his fucking PJs, like the guys come in to assassinate him. Yeah. And he's got a stogie and his big cigar. And then he hides under the bed and he kills the dudes with a Tommy gun. And then as they're driving away, he's down on the street just puffing on his cigar. It's like, that's badass.
He's the head guy for a reason.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, really good movie. I think it's definitely worth checking out. And then number 7 is Donnie Brasco. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
Johnny Depp, Al Pacino, and I'm trying to think of his name.
Take your time.
Michael?
No, that's not it. I haven't seen it. But
the dude, I won't be able to think of it. The dude who was in Mr. Blue from Reservoir Dogs. The dude who danced around with the ear. You know what I'm talking about, though?
I feel like I do.
Michael Madsen. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I pulled it.
Got it. Nailed it.
He's in it. Donnie Brasco, based on a true story, which is actually, this film is pretty faithful to the actual true story of this cop named Joe Paterno. And he actually...
The coach from Penn State.
That's him. Yeah, not Paterno. It's Palomino or something like that. I don't know. It's Joe something. Good job.
Joe Pa.
Yeah, Joe. That was him. Yeah. Just
many people don't know that kids. Before he was a classic coach,
he infiltrated the mafia.
He had to get an out, and they got it for him.
That was his witness protection program, and they just gave him the same name. Yeah.
That can't be the same guy we're looking
for. No way. Looks just like he's on national TV every week, but that's not him. But well, now I don't even know his name. It doesn't matter. But he infiltrated the mafia. He was an FBI agent. He went undercover. His undercover name was Donnie Brasco. And he actually went so far in it because he was like from the street. He was a street guy. And this was when the cops didn't know how to get the mafia down. So like his infiltration was actually like one of the biggest steps in taking them down. Yeah. There's actually a great documentary on Netflix. It's like a 3, 4, whatever, 8-part series called Inside the American Mob. It's like one of the best things I've ever seen. I've seen it like 5 times. It's amazing. But they cover that a lot. But he went so far that he was gonna be a made man. Like they were gonna make him into a made guy, really? And he was a cop. So then at that point he was like, you guys better get me out because then they're gonna have me like killing people.
That's a real reputation killer for that mob. Like, exactly. You guys are gonna make a cop? Yep. Like, seriously.
Exactly. And the movie's great because Donnie Brasco, Johnny Depp plays him, and then his main guy that he worked with a lot was this guy named Lefty, this older mafia guy played by Al Pacino. And Donnie Brasco does a great thing because after I watched it, I didn't realize how actual like historically accurate it was. I just thought it was like, oh, this guy went undercover. Yeah. Actually extremely accurate. Really? And when I watched it, I was like, wow, they really lay everything out really well. Like if you're ever like watching movies and they kind of say terms and you're kind of like, okay, like that comes up, and I kind of get it. Donnie Brasco was one where he was infiltrating it, so they like really laid it out really well. So it's a good movie.
If I was Donnie, I would have said, "See you, cops. I'm going to be a maid."
Yeah, exactly.
I'm turning a page back, and
I know. I think about that all the time. Just like, man, that would be nice. But like, I don't know if I could kill somebody. Like that's the thing.
That's kind of the thing. But I feel like if you're made, I mean, they maybe have you kill people like right away. But then like once you work with, it's like, all right, you guys kill this.
Yeah,
guy.
exactly.
I could live with that more.
I probably could. Like, yeah, he disrespected you.
Someone who kills someone that you know, I could maybe do that.
Yeah.
It's like my guy probably killed somebody too. But
and like in the mafia, it's not. It's when they want to make you a guy, or whatever. So it's usually always like you have to kill your best friend so that they don't see it coming. You know, is usually what they do. So like that would be even harder.
Like, if I had to do that, I feel like I'd be in the wrong mafia if we're killing our best friends just to prove something.
Honestly, that's the only reason I have you on the pod. Actually, I think I have a gun sound on here. There you go. You're dead. I didn't really sound like
that was like a future gun.
Yeah, whatever. I'm in the future mafia.
You got to work
Looper.
on that.
That's kind of a mafia movie. Damn it! I could have made my list.
Is that the one with...
I just said future mafia, and it made me think of that. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, with Bruce Willis. Yeah, I've never seen it, but
dude, it's so good.
Interesting concept.
Yeah. Anyway, well,
scratch it. We're starting over.
Bad tangent. Yeah, Looper's really good, and I won't get into it. It's kind of a mafia movie. I guess it's more sci-fi than that, but just check it out.
Yeah, we'll see.
So Donnie Brasco's really good. Number 6. I wanted to put this higher. The Departed.
That
it's hard. I mean,
I feel like that's one of the most...
you can see the rest of these, but I mean, like, how do you? I mean, it's hard to beat these.
I'd maybe in terms of gangster movies, I'd maybe replace it with the next one. That's in front of it.
I could do that. You know what?
I'm not telling you to.
No, I'm going to. You're right. Because
I feel like The Departed, like, I don't know in the movie world, but I feel like it's one of the most underrated.
100%.
Because like the lineup in that movie, like
one of the
because I saw it when I was younger, and then I watched it again like a couple years ago. I'm like, wow, this is so good.
Oh my god, I know you're preaching to the choir.
Don't worry, I'm gonna kill you.
That's where you get it. Yeah, The Departed. I think it's Scorsese, one of his most underrated movies. I fucking love it. So much. I've seen it so many times.
The classic Matt Damon Boston accent.
I cannot get enough. We do that. I know. In case you didn't know, we actually do the Boston accent all the time on this podcast. We can't just not do it. But that one, I mean, there's so much Boston accent. But yeah, the lineup, for my money, it's the best cast of all time. You got, I mean, Matt.
Go against that.
Stars: Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson, Martin Sheen, Mark Wahlberg.
I could have used more Mark Wahlberg in that.
Yeah, movie. I could have too.
I wish, but I mean, I suppose they couldn't pay him the money, probably.
Right, probably not. Alec fucking Baldwin.
Yeah, I forget about him too.
Yeah, he had a little part, great little part. God, I forget the lady's name.
Yeah,
therapist. She's a really good actress. Mm-hmm. But that lineup alone, and then Scorsese directing.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, fucking. You got me, man. And it's just like, that one won Scorsese his only Oscar for Best Directing.
Really?
And a lot of people were like, oh, that's just like, the Oscars are like, yeah, we probably should have gave this to you a couple times, but here's one for this one.
He's like, damn it, I'm going to get this. Like, I'm going to get all the actors I know, and you will give me this Oscar.
For sure. And
I almost said by golly there.
By golly. Gee Willikers.
You know, I can just see Martin sitting there. By golly, I tell you what, man.
Yeah, he's John Grimm. But yeah, The Departed is another infiltration movie. It's a remake of a Chinese film, Infernal Affairs, which I haven't seen.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I do too. I'm pretty sure I would still like The Departed more. But it's interesting how, like, because Matt Damon's character is a cop. He's a statey. He's in the state police. He's a detective, and he is actually affiliated with the mob. What Jack Nicholson's character his name, but he's like the mafia boss,
and he's like
in that
his
area.
Insider guy.
And so he's like, from a kid, was this insider guy, so that he would go to school and become a cop, so that he would have a cop in there, right? And then And then Leo DiCaprio is just a street guy who wanted to make it into the cops. Wasn't able to, but then they said, but you can go undercover for us, be an undercover guy in the mafia. So you basically have an undercover mobster in the police and an undercover policeman with the mafia at the same time.
You see both sides of it,
and it's very good. Just talking about it makes me want to watch it right now.
Yeah, I need to watch it now.
Yeah, and obviously Scorsese is one of the best directors of all time that's ever lived. So his just direction alone is just, I don't know. It's just, it's just, I don't know what else to say about that movie, is that it's really great, and I think it gets overlooked. I've seen it so many times, and it's so quotable. I quote it all the time.
With the names.
With the Departed. And those little zooms. From that same scene, Mark Wahlberg, one of my favorite movie quotes of all time is, "My stance on feds, you treat them like mushrooms. You feed them shit and keep them in the dock. You ladies have a good day." And he walks out. Yeah, it's so good. And it's like, there's this bar in town called The Overtime. And every time I see that, I think of Matt Damon and Alec Baldwin at the Greens. And Alec Baldwin's like, something
about
like,
his wife?
Yeah, he's talking about his wife, and he was like, it's good that you're married. It shows people that somebody can put up with your shit and whatever. And he's like, plus shows him that cock still works.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's working. Overtime. I think of that every time I see that bar. Overtime. There's just so many good quotes. That's just a great movie, and it puts you on this, I don't know, on this fun journey. And I think we all learn a little something.
We all learn a little something about ourselves and like what we would do if we were in the movie.
Fun story for all you people listening. Every time a character is going to be killed, or will be killed or whatever, Scorsese puts an X in the background. Yeah. So like every time I watch it, I look for it and I see him. It's like, oh shit, he's going to die. The dude's going to die.
Who's going to die? I see it as.
So many. I just thought of another quote when they have that mobster in when they're talking to him, and then he goes in, Matt Damon goes in, and he's like, has his lawyer showed up? And they're like, no. And he's like, all right, cut that camera, cut the mic. I'm going in. To save the mafia guy, but they think he's doing whatever. And then he's going in, and the one dude's like, qui bono, who benefits, which is like an old term, psychologically, whatever, is like law enforcement, who whatever. He's like, qui bono, who benefits. He's like, qui gives a shit. Oh man, it's such a great movie.
Check it out if you
please. I don't know why you're listening to
this. Please end.
Yes. So number 5, like you alluded to, I put it's Pulp Fiction, which I debated even putting on the list because for me, Pulp Fiction is my number 2 favorite movie of all time. And it's a phenomenal film. I don't think anybody would argue that. But the problem is that it's like, it's so many different things. It's hard to put into one category.
But it is.
It is.
To a certain extent.
Because, like, a lot of the main characters...
Like, you can't say that John Travolta and Sam Jackson, like, they aren't.
They 100% are.
You see that, like, it's a classic hero for a mob, Like,
and I think you and I have talked about this. Everybody in that movie is connected through Marcellus Wallace, who's the mob boss.
Yeah.
So it's all centered around that.
But it's not like your classic...
It is not at all. Not at all. Yeah, it's not your classic mafia movie. It's not your classic movie by any stretch. But yeah, I think I would switch The Departed in this, just because it's not your classic gangster movie, so you're not going to get all those cliches. But it's just such a great movie that it transcends that genre.
Yeah.
And it's like, Pulp Fiction was one when I started to get into movies. Like, I was big into IMDb, so like their top 200 movies of all time or whatever. And on there, Shawshank Redemption is number 1. Which is hard to argue. Yeah.
I think that's like everybody's at least like top 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a great movie. And then, like, I think it was The Godfather was number 2, and then I think it was Pulp Fiction, and then Godfather Part 2, or maybe not. But Pulp Fiction was always up there in everybody's list. And at that time, I didn't know who Quentin Tarantino was. and I didn't know anything about the movie. I just kept hearing Pulp Fiction, and I'm like, what is this about? So I remember asking people like at movie stores and people I knew. I was like, yeah, I keep hearing this thing about Pulp Fiction. Like, what is Pulp Fiction about? And they're like, they were all just like,
it's tough to explain.
It is. They're all just like, yeah, I don't really.
So these guys, but they come in and
they kind of come in.
But then this other guy, like then they run in. I don't know.
Yeah,
you just gotta watch it.
Pretty much is like what everyone says, and they're the only solid answer we got from him. He's like, well, it's kind of about these two hitmen.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay. And he's like, and it's not really. He's like, it kind of follows a bunch of different characters. And then I was like, oh, and then they all like meet up in the end. He's like, yeah, not really.
Well, they meet up in the end, but it's at the beginning.
Right. So basically, if I would explain it to you, Pulp Fiction is a non-linear story. It's non-linear storytelling. So what that means is it doesn't go beginning, middle, end. There's certain chunks that are a little bit out of order, so you kind of have to pay attention. And so it's kind of like, basically there's a bunch of these characters all connected through mafia ties that each sequence of the movie is about a different thing, and it kind of weaves its way through. It's still hard to explain.
And it's one of those movies where it's like, usually either you love it or you hate it.
Right.
Like, I know, like, my parents are the best examples of, like, mom movies and liking movies, the same ones as me, but they're like, Pulp Fiction, I hate that movie. It's like, well, I mean, I get it. Like, people just don't buy that or enjoy that. Yeah,
and like one of the things about watching movies, like to actually sit down and watch it, I don't think people give those things enough respect, because like Pulp Fiction, for instance, one time my sister put it on when she was back for the summer or something. This was a while ago, and like probably 5 years ago. Well, no, it would have been 3. I don't know. It was probably 3 years ago. Yeah, and maybe 4. I don't know. But she was back for the summer, and like, now Haley, I don't think you'll listen to this, but if you do, you were being crabby that day, which you do sometimes. And like something about she had like an ear infection or something. And she had kind of heard that Pulp Fiction was this great movie too. She's not really a movie person per se. And I had it, and I obviously was. So I was like, yeah, but Haley's just the type of person that isn't really into a lot of like swearing and killing and stuff. So like,
it's definitely the movie for her.
Right. So like they put it on, and first of all, like she's in a bad mood. Like she's just crabby and cranky. And she has the TV blasting with the subtitles on because she can't hear anything. And she's on her computer doing something, and someone else is talking, and I'm just like, ugh. So then at the end of it, of course, she's like, oh, that movie was stupid. I was like, you didn't watch it. This was the worst. Any movie you put on, you'd say it was a terrible movie here. Like, that was not fair at all. And I think that happens to a lot of people. And it's hard to know what to expect going into a movie like that, but I think that has a lot to it anyway. Check it out and give it respect when you watch it. Please don't have an ear infection.
Don't expect to watch a regular movie.
Right, at all, at any level. No, you're absolutely right. Okay, and then my number 4 is a personal favorite of ours, I think. It's Scarface.
Donnie.
You motherfucker.
I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like a lot of people think this when they first watch it, at least when they're younger. People always think there's like a second one. Like, I don't know if you thought that when you grew up, but I know other people too. Like,
I'm not sure if I ever had.
But I remember when I was pretty young when I watched it because my brother showed me it, and I was just like, I've only seen the first one. Like, there's only one. Like, what? Like, no way. Like, and I've talked to other people.
I've only seen the first one.
That's funny. But I swear, like, and it's weird because, like, obviously, spoiler alert, but he dies at the end. But so it's like, I don't know how other people got that gist. Maybe I was just young enough and like just didn't know. But I've talked to other people that have thought that too. Like, yeah, I've only seen the first one.
Well, I guess maybe you could think that just because it's such in pop culture iconography, it's so iconic. Like literally, how many times growing up have you heard Scarface references and heard about Scarface and Al Pacino, and now it's just constantly, right? So it's probably not. You probably like with other movies like that, or like Rocky and Rambo and like the Terminator. Like those are all huge in pop culture too, and they have long series, you know, so it's probably safe to assume that you probably saw all this pop culture stuff and you just assume that it's such a big movie that there were more of them.
Funny story about like a quote from like the most famous quote, like "Say hello to my little friend." Like couple, I think it was last summer when I was working at Squirrel Feed. There was a guy. He will not be named. Still hate you, but it was like there was controversy because it was like the NBA Finals and people were asking, "Oh, LeBron James, like, what do you do?" "Oh, I read I'm reading The Godfather." And he's like, "Oh, what's your favorite line from The Godfather?" And he did the classic, "Oh, there's just so many, I can't think of any." And so that's just reason why I'm like, I hate LeBron, he's fake. But then, like, the next day at work, talking to the guy, he's like, "Yeah, did you see LeBron James? Like, he couldn't name a quote from The Godfather." Yeah, like, you couldn't name the classic "Say hello to my little friend." And I was just like,
no.
"Yeah, I know, man." Like, I didn't want to call him out on it just to be that guy. But it was like, "Oh, yeah, I know." It was just so funny. No. He's like, "Say hello to my little friend." Godfather, obviously.
Oh, no.
I didn't say anything to him.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, classic, man.
I think I might have an idea of who that is.
I think you do,
but
too.
I'm not going to say.
I feel like he's not going to listen. No,
I don't think he would ever.
But,
no, under any circumstance. Yeah. Well, first of all, fuck LeBron. Let's get that out of the way.
This is a LeBron hater podcast.
That's what we've been leading to this whole time.
To get into the real topic.
Those of you that have stayed with us to this point. Yeah, Scarface is just one that I feel like, yeah, it's so in pop culture. It's like when you go to college, everybody is going to be like, especially like bros are going to be like fucking Scarface poster and like Fight Club poster. Or like the two things you see the most and then people talk about. It is definitely like a dude movie because this guy who kind of comes from nothing. And
real Cinderella story.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's like from Cuba and he's an underdog and he just like has this drive and he kills and just like takes what he wants by being a man. And then, like, what I love about the movie is that the thing that made him become who he was, that tenacity and that drive of wanting everything, is what led to his downfall, which is, like, the best stories all have that. But that one really shows it where it's, like, he has that drive and he doesn't care, you know, who you are. He's just, like, going to work.
And then when you get the power of being like that guy, it just goes over.
Yeah, because then it's like he can't like level out. Because then at that point, it's like you have everything. Okay, now it's time to kind of like build up your insurance. It's like, what are you gonna do? And then he just keeps wanting more, and there's nowhere else to go. Yeah. So he just kind of starts.
He wants to control everything, like with his sister.
Yeah.
He's like, Tony, come on, just let it go.
Yeah, dude, you have such a good life, man. Just
like,
let it, just
Tony,
live it out. But yeah, no. But yeah, I'm sure you guys have. And when you watch it, it's going to be like, oh, that's what that's from. Oh, that's what that's from. Like, it's just one of those iconic movies. So check it out. And then the next two, we'll just kind of go for as one, is The Godfather Part 2. I have at number 3, and then The Godfather at number 2. A lot of people say The Godfather Part 2 is better than The Godfather, and I get that. Not for me. Yeah, I love The Godfather. And The Godfather Part 2 is, they're both two of the best movies ever made, but to me, The Godfather is better.
I just don't know how you can say, like, with Marlon Brando, like, I don't know how you can say that one.
Oh, I know.
Not as good
as
that's like, I love Al Pacino in that, but I mean, I gotta get me some Marlon Brando.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have enough of Vito Corleone.
Like, when you think of The Godfather, like, I don't know who you think, but I think about Marlon Brando.
Yeah, I see his face in that suit with that cat.
Yeah.
I don't think of, Al Pacino, but it did obviously give Al Pacino a start. And like Robert De Niro in the second one played young Vito, but these movies are like it's just like if you want like the classic Italian mob where it comes from, La Cosa Nostra, it's like these movies, and it's just The Godfather is that Vito Corleone, he's the head of the family, of this mafia, and he's kind of getting older.
Badass.
But he's a fucking badass. Yeah. And he is, quote unquote Godfather to everybody really and all these kids.
The first scene at the wedding is just like, that's all you need to know about the Godfather.
Dude, like,
you come to me
in your time of need. Oh my god. It's just like, it gives me chills right now.
And like everybody knows like that voice. And like the cheeks and all.
Yeah. Everybody. That opening scene alone, like when it cuts back and forth from the wedding to him meeting with people and back and forth, like show me a better sequence in any movie ever. Like, and I will put that up against it. Just like perfect. And Luca Brasi being not nervous. Yeah. Just like, thank you for inviting me.
I heard something that like that actor was literally that nervous to like do a scene with Brando.
Yeah, he was.
And they just made it because and they're like, all right, we can't get a scene with this guy, and they made him like, all right, go out here and pretend like you're nervous.
Yeah, exactly.
He just couldn't do it.
Yep, because he was so intimidated by Marlon Brando. Because Marlon Brando notoriously was very hard to work with. And he refused to even memorize lines for this movie, which is just nuts how great this performance is. Probably the best. I don't know. I'd put up there as the best performance of all time. I mean, it's fucking nuts. But Luca Brasi just like, I am honored and humbled to invite me on your daughter's wedding on the day that your daughter was to
just
be married.
mumbles his words like,
thank you.
He's been like, get this guy out of here.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, those... And then, like... So the first one is Vito's in charge, and then Michael, Al Pacino's character, is his youngest
And he doesn't want anything to do with it.
He doesn't want anything to do with it. He's
a
military
army or whatever.
He was a war hero, and he finally comes back, and he, like you said, he wants nothing to do with his family, that life or whatever, and Vito doesn't really want him to be part of it either. You know, he's like, good, you did your own thing, whatever. And his other sons, Fredo and Sonny Santino. Fucking Sonny, man.
I think it's James funny how Fredo is just like, isn't he the oldest?
Yeah, Fredo's the oldest, and he's the fuck up. Like, he can't do anything right. And, it's just, I mean, it's just a movie that, granted, like, one of my roommates here, he said he tried to watch The Godfather the other night because I was like making references to it at work.
All right, I gotta watch this.
Yeah, I was like, because like there's like we sit facing like a training room which is over there, and every time they shut the door, I say, "Dude, it reminds me of The Godfather." Every time.
Like as much as I love the Marlon Brando, but that may be one of the best scenes. Like, just seeing that, like the opening part, but like just that door closing. Like, you're just like, the finger.
And you see her face, and then it just closes. And you're
That's so good.
Yeah, and
so many people mimic that too. Just like
all the time.
Like there's a classic, I don't know, Modern Family one where they send like his kids out to like destroy like stuffed animals and just do things to kids, and it shows him like just like the door shutting.
In The Office, when Will Ferrell takes over, it's the boys' club, and then he's shutting the door, and she's like, oh, what? Oh.
Classic.
Oh man, yeah, and one of the best endings ever because it's such a turnaround. You're like, whoa, holy shit, because you're like. We're not going to spoil it, obviously, but it's an ending where you're like, oh, damn. And then the second one is great, too. It's a little bit darker, almost, than the first one, and it deals more with, I don't know, I don't want to spoil things, but it's just like, basically, and when I was telling Cole, too, not you, my roommate, Fetter, sorry, I said your name on here, he wanted to watch The Godfather, he said he fell asleep through it. You have to be ready for it, and like I told him, I was like, they're going to throw a lot of names at you.
Don't pop it in at 10 at night.
No. Just like, it's just going to be killing and whatever. There's a lot of names, and there's a lot of references to things. That's
like the biggest thing to get over is the names.
It's because they'll just say names, and they won't like reference what it was. They just say it, and you're supposed to know. So I always say you need like a billboard of like like punching things up. Like, okay, this person, this means this, and this means this.
It's like the cop thing with like the
exactly,
yeah.
And which what makes that movie so like fucking great and timeless. That's what I like. My biggest gripe with movies nowadays is how they just spoon feed you everything. So much exposition. Exposition is basically where the character just tells the audience exactly what they need to know.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is what you need to know. Where like The Godfather's one where they don't really, they just show you or they just like go through it. They don't need to tell you every little thing. Yeah. And you get more out of it the more you watch it.
You're a big boy. You can figure this out.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like, oh, no shit, you know. But whatever. And then dumb people watch it and they're like, oh, that didn't make any sense. I don't know, fucking whatever. But anyway, those are two movies you're going to need to watch. I don't know if I'll ever see the third one. Because the third one, the first one was made in 1972. The second one was made in 1974. And then the third one was made in like 1990. So there's this huge gap. And Francis Ford Coppola in the 70s was on a run that no directors ever had. Like he made some of the best movies of all time. Like he made The Godfather. He made Godfather Part 2. He made The Conversation. he made Apocalypse Now. Like, all, like, just, like, back to back to back to back, being coked out of his mind. Like, and so, and then all of a sudden you fast forward to the 90s after he's had all this success and everything, and I don't know. And then he put, like, his daughter in it, who now has become a very good director herself, but I've seen...
Make one for them, make one for yourself.
Yeah. I've seen clips of her performance in that movie, and it looks like the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. And I know people say, like, I mean, it got nominated for Oscars, like Best Picture and stuff, because it's a Godfather movie. Yeah. And I've heard that there's actually, like, it's not bad. Like, it is kind of a classic Godfather movie. It's just not, it's hard to compare it to the other two. You know, you're just like, those two are two of the best movies ever made.
And just like, you just have, like you were saying, like, it's just like so like far, like in like so much time in between. It's just like you kind of lose the, I don't know, like the, I don't know what to call it.
The aesthetic.
Yeah.
Of it, yeah.
And like you get all these characters and like they're this like roughly like the same age. And then you get ahead and like everyone's older and it's like these brand new characters. Just like I haven't seen it, I've just seen like the trailers for it. Like, it just doesn't seem like the classic Godfather.
No, I agree.
And I'm sure it could be fine, but
yeah, I'm sure there's probably parts of it where you're like, okay, I get it, you know, but yeah, I don't know, just especially the way the second one goes through and the way Michael kind of handles the family, like the third one made it look like he was like this elder statesman and just doing fine. I was like, that's not really what it seemed like in the second one. He was kind of having more troubles with that. But, and then my number one is Goodfellas. Have you seen that yet?
I've just watched it recently, probably earlier this summer or year. And I can't remember, I think it was just on like one of those movie channels, but it has the commercials, so it just took forever.
Yeah.
But me personally, I'd probably put The Godfathers ahead of that one.
Yeah.
But
I struggle with it, but Goodfellas to me is just like, that one, when I first watched it, I was like, okay, this is my favorite movie of all time. It's still in my top 10. But it's just like, that one really shows the glamour of the life and why you'd want to do it. And just like...
yeah, when he grows up as a kid.
Yeah, he's like, all I ever wanted to do is be a gangster. Yeah. And just like, it shows every step of him getting into it and then what he does and eventually his fall from grace, you know. But it's just, that one really, like, The Godfather is obviously great. Those movies are amazing. But I feel like Goodfellas to me just outlines the life more and it makes you want to be a gangster. Even with the downfall, you still, like, that makes you be like, fuck, that looks
I suppose
amazing.
That's how it was back in the day in, like, the urban areas. Like, man, like, do you want to be a gangster? Just
like, if you live in the project, you're a poor kid, you know?
Yeah.
You go through it. But, yeah, so there was my top 10. Now, the reason that I wanted to bring you on here specifically is because you texted me a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it was the week before the 4th.
And what did you say?
Well, it was the weirdest thing ever, but I was on a car ride to Kansas City for a Twins game. And I was just sitting there. And
Shout out Minnesota Twins.
Shout out Twins.
Love you.
Watch them. But I don't know what I was doing, or I was listening to something, all of a sudden it just came like thinking about gangster movies. Like, what if there was a gangster movie, but the family, like the main family in the gangster movie, like, is either a front or it is their main thing, is like in charge of a funeral home. And they just off a bunch of rich people, ideally, but just obviously other people, just to like get the money. And they do it. And obviously, like, a funeral home is a good business to be in. You're always going to need it. Yes. People are always dying.
Yes.
But if you just specifically target like these rich people, you take them out, just make it look like something happened, and you just reap all the rewards, you know?
Yeah, and when you said that, I was like, man, that's a great idea. Like, I was like,
just with all the, like all the killing that goes on in mobs, like, it's just something that kind of like came to me, just like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. Like, I would watch that. You know?
Yeah, I know. When you said that, I was like, damn, that sounds like a really good idea.
And just like the mystique about like funeral homes too, like all these movies in the past, like the morgue, like all these people that just are very like weird and mysterious.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of creepy, but you can bring like the gangster element to it.
Yeah, and it's like how people don't really look to those as being big profit industries, but they make a lot of money.
Yeah, funerals are expensive.
Yeah, they are. So
especially for rich people too.
Yeah, and they don't even want to think about money at that time.
Yeah, just get it. Whatever.
Yeah, just do it. Get it done with. Yeah. So,
and I've been like thinking about it. It could almost even be like a comedy too. Just like think about it. Just like these guys like trying to like off these.
Yeah,
like,
see, that's what I was thinking of too. I know you had some ideas, but when I first was like thinking of like if we wanted to pitch this or whatever, the first thing I thought of was like okay, so they have this funeral home, right, where they have bodies coming in or whatever, and they need to drum business. What I thought of was, like, offing rich people in their houses, like, but making it look like natural, was very, like, almost comedic to me. Because, like, not a lot of time you think about using a gun, it's like, well, you can't just shoot an old lady in the head and they'd be like, oh, she died in her sleep.
Oh no, yeah.
So I'm just, like, thinking of, like,
and I had just one thing. I can just like see like one scene, just like these two guys that work for the funeral home, just like casually, like doing a casual conversation outside of like this huge mansion, like, no, how can you say, like, they fucking stink this year, you know? Like, these guys suck. As they're, like, making a gas leak happen in this house, and all of a sudden it explodes, this rich family, and they come back the next day, like, oh, we're so sorry. Just, like, oh, it's a terrible tragedy, and just, like, all these people crying. When they were there the night before, just, like, talking about something, just, like, casually making this house explode.
Oh, I can see that.
I saw something like that, which would be kind of funny, too, you know? Just
Sure.
And then, obviously, like, they reap all the rewards from that, and, like, it looks like nothing happened.
Yeah. I can see that for sure. Yeah, I thought of a scene of, like, they break into this, like you said, mansion type thing, and there's, like, this old lady, and they break in, and I just thought, well, they probably would have, like, put a pillow over her face, just suffocated her, right? Because a lot of times they won't do an autopsy, especially if they're old. Like, no, we don't want that. So, like, I imagine, like, them just, like, basically fucking it up. Like one dude puts a pillow on, and the other dude is, like, gets a phone call or gets distracted and he turns and then she, like, starts fighting him. Yeah. And then eventually, like, he hits her with a baseball bat or something. And they're like, God damn it. Fuck. Now they're like,
now we gotta, like, put her down on the stairs or something.
Yeah, so, like, either, like, push her down the stairs or, like, stage it as a robbery, like a B&E. So, like, just, like, take stuff and push stuff down. Like, God fucking damn it. Yeah.
Hell, man. Yeah. I also thought, I kind of just thought of something of, like, you know, like, old, doesn't even have to be really old people, but, like, older, like, men even too, like, say, like, you go to, like, a pharmacy and you just beat the shit out of some pharmacist and they go for their medicine and you put a lethal dosage in there and then, like, they just, like, croak from that. And even, like, you can go back to the house later and replace that pill with the regular pills that wouldn't say, oh, they just, like, it just happened, you know, so you wouldn't really know. Yeah. So, like, just something like that too, like the old people, like, just going in there and switching stuff, you know?
Yeah, and that's interesting. Yeah, and I was, so I see you have a notebook here. With things
I also thought
down.
Another thing too, like, say, like, someone, like, has a funeral, like a regular funeral, like, they could have killed them, maybe not, but then, like, they can't pay for the funeral, so it's like, all right, we'll let this go if you, like, go kill this rich family or something, like, or a rich person, like, otherwise we're gonna kill you. So, like, they just take out this family and then, like, they can like take care of their debts by like helping them.
Sure. Okay.
I think a lot of stuff can happen with that, you know, because, I mean, like, obviously, like, families go through a lot of turmoil in funerals and they can't pay for it. It's like, I can just see this guy kind of like, hey, man, I'm sorry, I can't pay for this. Like, and, like, I don't really know if, like, people would maybe know, like, that they are, like, kind of like this shady group and he can maybe be scared. But then, like, all right, we're going to let this go, you know, if you just, like, you know who so-and-so is? Yeah, fucking kill him. Like, and, like, they don't really care, like, if it goes back to them or not, because, I mean, like, oh, this guy just killed him, you know?
Right, yeah.
So something like that even, too.
So, if we were going to pitch this, what would your storyline be?
So that's like the biggest thing I'm trying to think of, like, what would, like right away, like, oh, like, this funeral, but then something would have to happen. Or, like,
yeah, because I was like, were you thinking the funeral home? I was assuming that would be, like, the main focus of the movie.
But then you can almost do, like, a front for, like, this weird idea where, like, for, like, if it's a drug thing too, even, like, you can, like, hide the drugs, like, in the casket and, like, have the gravediggers be the recipients of the drugs, you know? So, like, when everybody leaves, like, oh, we got our drugs now, like, something like that.
Yeah, and I thought of, like, even if it wasn't just, because I'm surprised that we both, like, went to that same place. Maybe you told me, I'm not sure. I'm just, like, trying to off these old people. But then I thought to, like, drum a business or whatever. But then I was like, well, the other thing about owning a funeral home is, like, when you actually kill somebody, not just to have their funeral, you fucking have a graveyard, so you can just bury bodies there. Too. You know, like when you're just offing people, you have a perfect place to put it, because people are gonna dig that up. And if you're constantly burying people, it's like that would be, like, perfect. Because, like, even, like, just, like, somebody just newly put in the ground, some old lady.
You can put as many bodies in there
as you want. Nobody's going to dig that up.
Yeah.
So I was like, fucking A.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, so that's where I went, because I was like, either way, it's like, then that's, like, the perfect situation. Because you don't have to worry about, like, like in Goodfellas, there's a scene where they killed the dude, and months later they're going to put up a condo there, so they have to go dig up the body and move it so they don't find it, you know? But in this case, it's like, how often to fucking, you know, graves
the only time you're
move?
there is just like the memorial days, the funeral, or the people that are mowing it. So
right.
And there's nothing going on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's like, well, if somebody asks you, it's like, oh, we're just moving graves around or whatever.
Yeah, like all right, whatever.
And it's like you're in a funeral home and you're burying a body. You know, you're in a graveyard burying a body. That doesn't look odd.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that's what
it may be a little in the middle of the night, maybe.
Yeah.
But then, again, it's just like, these guys are doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, you can go a lot of places with that, I think. And then, like, you can almost be like... because I'm assuming it would almost have to be like in a bigger city or region because you can't really do that in a small place.
No, especially like if you want to get a lot of business consistently.
You can only kill so many rich people in rural areas.
Right.
But then like you could also take out like surrounding funeral home thing, just kind of like run them out of business somehow. Like you said with like the killing even, you know, just like take out, like say it's like some old man who's been running his funeral home forever. His kids are fuck ups and like they don't want to like take over the business, or if they did, they'd be really shitty at it. So like kill him
and then buy him out even.
Buy him out even too, like, and then you just get more business from that.
Sure.
And I've almost thought of like one thing with like kind of like something happening to them, but say like you take out a rich family or something weird happens, like you said, someone fucks up.
Yeah. And
like these rich families, like there's like no way, like we need to find some happen. Like some crafty old veteran, personal investigator, FBI guy, like it's like kind of puts some dots together, you know, and it like kind of gets onto them, something like that. So something like that could maybe like lead to some like controversy or like like just getting in trouble. Because
you kind of need that or some.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about like if we were gonna do a through line, right? So I was thinking of like antagonists and protagonists. So, like, I was thinking, because you could go, like we were talking about, you could almost do, like, a comedy with this.
I know.
You could almost do, like a lighthearted comedy.
My original thought was, like, oh, straight-up gangster shit. But then I'm like, I was thinking about that, man, you could really, like, you're going to see people, like you said, like, fucking up or doing something, like, running away. Like, oh, shit, fuck, fuck.
Big time. Like, a dark comedy, rated R comedy with this would be, I think, a really good twist on it.
I always think of another one, like, the kind of the classic, like, you kill someone, and it's like, do you realize who that is? It's like a gangster head of, like from somewhere else. It's like, you realize and then like I can see them realizing like, oh shit, fuck, I really fucked up. What are you doing, man? Like,
and then they're like, and then they're like, we have to make sure they think it was like natural, that it wasn't a hit, so that we don't get in trouble.
And then like it could almost be like I don't know if like they're in over their heads even too, like, and then this big mob comes in, like, oh fuck, like we are fucked. Just like, oh man,
that would be like it would almost be better, if they were kind of like not necessarily in the big mobs, just kind of their own little
kind
thing,
of their own little like secluded thing.
Like maybe here's an idea. So like if we did like a lighthearted comedy, one of the antagonists I thought of, which seems a little bit shticky, but like what if there was like a rival funeral home that was actually like doing really well and giving them real competition, and then I almost thought of like this really cheesy trailer tagline of like now they have to like figure out how to do actual like business like like better or whatever, just like where they're like, fuck, we can't just like keep killing people to get business, like we actually have to like work on our advertising and our marketing. Like I thought of that, but like that'd be more of like a comedy aspect, and then you're like trying to like intimidate them, but they like won't be intimidated. They think that you're just like another business.
But they don't like they don't even think like you're a mob.
Right, exactly.
Not going to go into like the taking them out or like just really constantly fucking up, trying to like get rid of them or something, making it feel.
So I thought about that a little bit, which would be kind of interesting. But then I thought too is for like let's say a main character, right? So let's say that it was like a funeral home, and maybe like the guy who did it was this guy. We could say he's an immigrant from Italy back in the day. And now he's this old dude, and he was always by the book, very traditional, didn't want to take any chances. So then this funeral home was not making much money, but he didn't care because that's the way he wanted to do it, right? So then let's say he kind of dies off, and then it's like his son or like his family, like his daughter, son, whatever, and they're like, and then they're kind of the ones who like
initiate.
Yeah, like maybe they're just sitting around and they're just like, fuck, like, why?
You know who I hate? Fucking that motherfucker that lives on the top of that hill. And
It's like, wouldn't it be nice if we could just, like, kill him and then take their, to have them come here, and they're like, wait a minute.
Like, we could get their business, too. Like, it just kind of dawns on it. Yeah,
so I thought of that, too, you know, it'd be kind of interesting. And they kind of start to do more business, and then whatever, and get
kind of like a Scarface thing, almost, too. Like, a little bit, funeral home, then the new people get in charge, like, the kids, and they build it up, you know?
Mm-hmm. And then maybe, like, even, like, an antagonist could be, like, either an FBI guy or what I thought might work, too, is, like, just getting audited.
That's true.
Because, like, if you get audited and somebody's looking through all your books...
Someone fucks up with a funeral, like, thing, and then, like, they come in and have to get audited.
And then they have to, like, look through all their papers, and they have to, like, make sure everything's accounted for. And obviously things aren't, because you're kind of a little bit laundering money, but not, you know...
And obviously nothing with, like, with bodies and stuff, you can, like, sell, like, organs stuff easily, because you drain all this stuff and do it, you can sell that easily, too.
Yep, so and then maybe, like, they have to, like, keep records of every time they, like, dig into a plot of land. So then, obviously, like, if I said before where you have places to hide bodies in graves, then they're like, well, why was this one dug back up, or why don't you have records of this, you know? And then, like, you know, so I was like, that would be kind of interesting. And then another thought I had, so I kind of like that angle, and I'm not just trying to take over your idea, but another idea I had was, like, if we did, we're gonna make it. What I thought too was, like, this would be, if we kept it centered around the funeral home, what would be kind of interesting, and we did it kind of like a rated R comedy type thing that we're doing, it would make a really good, like, HBO Showtime series instead of just a movie.
I thought of that too, actually.
Yeah, because then, like, you have this funeral home that's the constant, and then you can constantly have these different things going on, so it doesn't have to be just one thing. And then, like, you get to see more killing and more, like, development of what's going on. You know, if it was like a series, then, you know, you could start off slow, and then, like, the first couple of episodes, they finally decide to kill somebody and bring it in. Yeah. And they're kind of getting better, but then they get audited or, like, whatever, and you kind of have a rotating cast of people coming in and out.
That'd be good, too.
So, I don't know. I thought of that, too.
Yeah, I think you can go a lot of different ways with it. I mean... Because, I mean, obviously, like, I don't really know of a movie like this. Like, a funeral home front or people.
No, I don't either. When you were explaining your first, what you had in your mind of the guys talking with draining gas or whatever, and I could totally see, like, coming up over, like, a city nightscape, you know, night cityscape, whatever, and, like, the credits... Opening credits coming up, and he's like,
that's what I thought of, like, slowly
zoom in on these two, like, the house, and then you come over to these guys, you kind of hear them arguing in the distance, and then it gets up closer. Like, I can totally see all that.
Definitely.
And then blowing up. That did make me think of Goodfellas, though, when they're arguing, when they're going to blow up that restaurant that they bought into. Oh, yeah. You know, and they're sitting outside, and he's like, this fucking Jew bro is prejudiced against Italians. Can you believe that? And then they're, like, talking, and then, like, it blows up, and they're like, oh shit, we gotta get out of here.
Yeah,
made me
I
think
can
of
see
that.
that.
And, like, obviously Tarantino is great about having these awesome conversations that aren't just about, like, killing people with these gangsters.
That's probably what made me think of it.
So, like, that kind of stuff too
makes those guys seem so, like, human. Just like they're fucking about to kill these people. And they're talking about, like, the, like, baseball team or something that someone did to them earlier this week. Like, can you believe this? Ask for no cheese. Like, how simple is that to fuck up no cheese on a burger? You know. And,
like, I showed you 7 Psychopaths, right?
Yeah.
It's a great
like
movie.
The opening scene of
that those two. That's a perfect example. Those two are just like, he's like, would you shut the fuck up? Damn it. That's just a classic. Like, you got to have some of that in there, too. But, yeah, I think you're onto something there. Classic antagonist, auditing, or, like, the FBI starts snooping around. Or it could even be, like, a family of one of these rich old ladies you killed gets, like, suspicious and wants to, like, do an autopsy, and they're like, no, like, I know you're going through a lot.
This go, right? Like, let us take care of this. Like, no, is our job.
You're going through a lot. This is a normal thing. We'll just put them in the ground and we'll get over it. This fucking bitch.
Oh, man, Anderson's bitch sure to shut up about this. Like, somebody needs to shut her up.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a golden idea you have there.
Yeah, I like it. Kind of ties in with all, like, the gangster movies, because those are obviously just, like, so iconic to go through, and everyone just thinks of it. Like, I kind of like where some of the ideas that we're pulling out.
Is there anything else you would add to it?
Oh, I don't know. And even, like, I had something just jot down, a very vague idea, just like another mob or like other people that like clearly have beef with like a rich family, or say like this rich like corporation or business like fucked over like some other smaller business, and like this guy in town, everyone knows that he hates him, and then they go kill him, and it's like, well, obviously it was so and so that like that like didn't like this person, just stuff like that too. They can just like frame it, like no one ever thinks of like a funeral home, like people.
No, not at all. And it would be just like if it was the classic humdrum funeral home, and then it kind of gets flashy when they start making a bunch of money.
Huge funeral,
like
a franchise of funeral.
Yeah, they pull up in like Rolls Royces and suits and stuff, and they're like, "What is going on?
How's business? Oh, business is great. Oh,
it's great. We're doing
a lot of people
really
croaking out there.
Man, I could see it, man.
Yeah, I could too.
It's a good idea.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, damn. I feel like we should work on a spec script more.
Yeah,
maybe somebody will hear this.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I feel like any idiot can think of something, but then it's just like the writing and like
pretty much every bad movie I've seen, I'm just like, I can see where that concept came from. Like, it's not a bad concept. Yeah, you just, the writing is the big thing, and that's obviously hard to fucking do.
Yeah,
definitely. Anybody can have a good concept. It's just delivering on it and making it a good movie. You know. Is the hard part. And
that's what I think is crazy about like the shows, like even like Sopranos, or like those shows are going forever. It's like, how the hell do you keep coming up with this? Or like, like year in year out, just like, oh, we got to think of like 10 more episodes to do. It's just like, for a movie, it's like you do it, you're done. You do one later, like in the future. But it's like constantly like the same stuff. Like I feel like it's just extremely tough to do.
Yeah, and they do have, at least TV shows have like writers' rooms where they all talk about it, and they have the story arcs and stuff. But even then, it's like, that's really just hard to think of, and I couldn't do it. But maybe somebody will listen to this and make it into a movie.
Hit us up.
Yeah, please. They probably won't, to give us anything, but just put us on there as producers at least, or something.
Yeah, just
put
send
our
us
name
a check
up there.
in the mail.
Yeah, because like when I have a YouTube channel, check Lars on YouTube. And I did just a movie pitch that I thought of at work, of just like, people in this office building, and then they get called from this faceless thing, and they have to do these certain things or whatever. And I just made a video about it quick, put it out there, and then you sent me this trailer, and you're like, dude, this reminded me of your movie pitch. And I watched it, I was like, holy shit, this totally did. Yeah.
It was like exactly like yours, but they just took it like to a specific step. Like you said, like, just nothing's going right. People keep calling, like, got to do something, and like all of a sudden, like, it just ends. And then, like, the movie The Belko Experiment comes out. All these people in an office building. Yeah. And, like, one day, like, everything just shuts down and people got to kill each other. I was like, this is exactly like your idea. Just, like, they just took it to another level and just ran with it.
And it was...
Someone saw that video, I swear.
They must have, because it was so similar.
Well, yeah.
And they just made it, like, into more of a horror movie, I think, the way I pitched it. And it was just, like, a concept. It wasn't, like, a storyline or anything. But they made it more of like a horror movie and like bloody and stuff. Yeah. And we went and saw it, and I really liked it. It was pretty good.
It was good, yeah.
It was just like cool. It was just like, fuck.
Because then first off, you're just like, well, how can they get away with this? Like, well, they're in, where are they, in like Mexico?
Yeah, it was like, it was definitely.
And everything is like guarded off because, we don't want all these people in here. So like, all right, I see how they do it.
And they're just like, we all have, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. And then it was pretty good.
Yeah. So if a funeral home movie comes out, we know someone is watching, listening.
You heard it here first. Yeah. We did our
Someone
research.
Is listening to Luke Larson and is like, every once in a while, this fucker has a good idea. Yeah. And we're going to steal it from him.
Yep. I'll square it, and I'm happy to have you guys steal my idea. Someday, if like enough of my ideas get stolen, then like I can be like, I have proof. Listen back to all my shit. Like I came up with it first.
If the funeral home mafia movie comes out, we need to know when they started this, so we can show, hey, this is our idea.
Please let me know the second that happens.
Just ask us, all right?
It'll probably
well, it just seems like someone smart enough out there is connecting the dots, like killing people, mafia, funeral homes, like they go hand in hand,
right? And like I'm sure that there's a spec script out there that's been written about it at some point or something. Yeah, but we'll have to see. Hopefully, it would just be cool if it got made. Yeah, they stole the idea.
Like, why didn't I think of that? Like so obvious.
Yeah, exactly. But like we said, it comes down to people being able to write a good script and then direct a good movie, you know?
Like just kind of deciding, like, hey, we're either going to have it start like this or start like that. Yeah. Just, like, going with that.
And, like, the Belko Experiment, like, that movie that we were talking about, That one, like, had a good concept. Pretty much very similar concept to what I had. I wouldn't say, like, any great writing or anything, but it was good. It was a straightforward movie, and the direction was pretty good. It could have been a lot better, you know, if it was in the hands of a better director.
I think that's the thing with, like, the gangster. You need a lot of good
Yeah.
dialogue, because that's everything about, like, the dialogue that everyone loves
thing.
about it. Whereas those movies, you can just, shit can happen. It's like, oh, that was cool, or, like, I didn't see that coming. It's like, remember that line from so-and-so? Like, that's, I feel like, a lot
exactly. Like, all these movies we went through, we're talking about lines from them or what they said, you know, so... Yeah, so that's the hard part, but it's definitely possible, and hopefully it gets done.
I hope so. By us.
Yeah, we could do it. Honestly, like, I don't know how much it would cost to do it. Let's say $50,000. If we can have a fundraiser for $50,000,
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe.com. Yeah, hit me up. I need $50,000 to get good cameras, good mics, and then we'll just do it ourselves. Yeah. We'll shoot it ourselves.
Get a bunch of people together.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
Yeah.
You know, I think here's what we should do. You and I should continue to work on spec scripts just for ourselves for this thing, just to, like, come up with, like, a good story, just to have it. That would be cool. But anyway, I hope you guys liked this episode. We just kind of went through Mafia movies. Thank you so much for joining me here today, Atch. Is there any place people can find you?
Hey, you can find me at Cole_Atch on Twitter, alright?
COLE.
COLE, alright? A lot of dope tweets out there.
He's very good at Twitter. Pretty much his only social media.
Twitter connoisseur. Instagram, too.
Instagram, sure. You can find me at Luke Larson89. You can find us at L2 Podcast on Twitter, L2 Podcast on Facebook. Our website is world89.org, I believe, and that has all these episodes on it, plus our blog. That's where we blog about shit. Let me know what you thought about this episode, if you want me to do anything in the future, and let Eazy C know that you saw him on here. We're going to have him back. Hopefully he'll replace Jiro for good. We'll have to see, but till next time, peace.